All right, you're tuned into MMA Canada and very excited to be talking to an individual who's making his return to Battlefield Fight League and does so on September 4th in an interim lightweight championship affair against Jeremy Henry. And great having another Jeremy on MMA Canada. Always good getting to talk to Jeremy Kennedy and just, yeah, curious how your day's going so far, man. Appreciate you making the time.
Yeah, of course, man. Thanks for having me on. I know we usually always do these before the fight, so it's good. It means the fight's getting close when I'm talking to you. So I feel good, man.
Yeah, and I imagine there's a certain good feeling with returning to Battlefield Fight League, I guess through the lens of familiarity, even just being a former featherweight champion. And like I said, now having the return at lightweight. So, what's the feeling heading into September 4th in that context?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest part is just being able to fight at home. Fighting in Vancouver is something I've wanted to do since I last did it in Rogers Arena. 2016. So it's that was a big stealing point for me to take this fight and accept it, and also to test. After the last one, I made the decision to move up to 55, and so this just seems like the right step. Test the waters at 55. It's a whole new weight class. A lot of different things: rehydration, weight cut, everything I wanted to figure out and do, kind of see how my body reacts to it, and no better place to do it than at home.
Yeah, and it seems like from some interviews that I've seen with you recently heading into this fight, it seems like the transition from 155 to 145 has been making a world of difference. So, yeah, just love to see that you're feeling this, I guess, renewed sort of vigor, as it were, at 155 pounds, because it seemed like you got to a point where it's like maybe the featherweight cuts were getting a touch on the tougher side. Like I saw a post where you were describing it as kind of being stubborn, but now it's like getting to a point of affecting your performances. So it seems like you're in a great place with this shift to lightweight.
Exactly. I think I probably should have done this after doing a camp at 55 now. I feel like I probably should have done this a couple fights ago, a couple of years ago. It's just my body is designed for a 55er. I did all the DEXA scans and stuff like that, and they came back and said, I'm pretty much in a lightweight body. So that extra cut to 45, I did it just because, I did all the right things, and dieted and disciplined, and it just that's all my focus was on all camp. Every camp was calories and deficits, and just burning calories and moving, and my body started to fall apart a little bit. And this time around, it's been amazing. I'm healthy. I got tons of energy. This is my last week of training, and I'm still, at this point at 45, I was, dreading everything, dying, and just getting through the sessions. And now I'm full of energy, good, a lot of fuel, and I'm excited for this. Obviously, I still have weight to cut, so this part kind of sucks, with the water loading and the restrictive diet. But at this point, at 45, I was doing this, 3 weeks ago, and now it's just, here we are, 6 days out, 5 to 7 days out, and now I'm just really now it's crunch time to get the weight off, and so it relieves some stress.
And it seems like you're in such an intriguing place in your career, not even just in the sense of shifting to lightweight, but I was seeing an interview you did with James Lynch where you were saying the PFL door isn't necessarily a closed thing. And I saw you were tweeting at the Rizin account about maybe some possible fights over there. So it seems like while you're being, squarely focused on this fight, obviously it seems like there's an abundance of potential options out there for you.
Oh, exactly. I feel like where I'm at, I'm still young in this game. I'm not by any means old. 32. Lots of fight in me. I got a lot of experience behind me, and I didn't close any doors and burn any bridges or anything like that. And it's kind of a free feeling. Right now I'm not tied down to a contract for once in my career. And now I'm starting this new chapter at 55, and that I've always wanted to fight in Japan, so I'm not leaving that door closed. And PFL was amazing. I like the structure of it. I love the competition of it. I love the caliber of fighters that are in it, especially at 55. So I'm not closing that door either. Um, and then obviously I get to come home and fight in Battlefield, in my own backyard. So that's always cool. And I don't think this would be the last one. If there's still, I know they have another card in October when the UFC's in town, and then UFC. Obviously, that's not immediately on the table, but I'm not even I'm not ruling that out either. You know, I string together a good little run at 55, and I would like to see myself back there as well. So literally, I have, you know, the wide open concept of the whole landscape. To me, it's not like I'm stuck to one little place right now. And so I'm just excited to see. And it obviously all starts next Thursday, and I got to get my job done. And then that's the start of 55 run.
Yeah, no, just such exciting times for sure, man. But I always love getting your thoughts on the general lay of the land of the sport because I feel like you're a very studious kind of guy who kind of stays abreast of everything that's going on. And I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't touch on this one because you fought the eventual 2025 PFL featherweight champion Movlid
Yeah.
Khaybulaev in April, and to a very tight split decision as well. Super competitive fight. I guess I'd be curious to get your thoughts on him cementing himself as the featherweight champion when he submitted Jesus Pinedo in August.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you love to see it. I still believe I won that fight, and a lot of people do. But that's the sport, and that's a split decision. You know, if it would have went either way, you know, it would have been calling robbery both sides. So that just shows the how close that fight was. And then to see him go on and kind of cruise through the rest of the tournament just shows you who the two best featherweights were at the you know at the start of that tournament. And it also kind of opened my eye on the Jesus Pinedo. You know, it's just funny how things can change. I was scheduled to fight him in November, and I thought it was a great stylistic matchup. And he hadn't fought a lot of grapplers before, and then Movlid went out there and showed the blueprint. And you know, it sucks that I didn't get that fight at the time, and it just how things go. But yeah, I mean, I'm not tied to that division anymore. You know, I was just stubborn. Like I said, I'd studied that division my entire career. And so I knew everybody. I knew how I stacked up with everybody. And that's what was keeping me there. But after the last, you know, few, you know, it just was time to start feeling myself again in the cage. And so I'm unfortunately I'm saying goodbye to that division, but I still follow it a lot. It's still probably my favorite division right now. Obviously, I'm watching a lot of lightweights now as well, but still, I love the featherweight division, and so I love following along all those guys. And Movlid is, you know, a 24-0 record. That's pretty amazing. So it's pretty cool to have that kind of fight with that guy, and I respect that team a lot anyway. So it's cool to see him do well.
Yeah, for sure. In the next chapter in the story, unfurling at lightweight for sure. But I felt like a good, solid statement win you got while you were a featherweight fighter was the Aaron Pico win in Bellator. And I mean, I feel like this is one of the more, I guess, topical things in the sport right now. But just curious to get your thoughts on the UFC debut that he had against Lerone Murphy at UFC 319 and how all of that played out there.
Yeah, that's tough, man. It's you feel for a guy like Aaron. You know, he does all the right things, and he got caught with a spinning elbow. You know, on a fight he was definitely ahead on. I mean, it was only a few minutes in, so you can't really say that. But I mean, he congrats to Lerone. You know, he capitalized on somebody who's such a forward, aggressive fighter. That's something I noticed as well when I was training to fight him. Is everything is so forward. He doesn't really set too much stuff up. He doesn't give too much respect to his opponents, and that kind of ends up being his own worst enemy. You know, as just running into things, and that's exactly what happened, unfortunately. And I think he'll be back. He needs to polish some things up, but he has the skill set and the work ethic to be a champion.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess I guess within that same context of people you fought at featherweight and just tying the two topics together, just your previous fight with Alexander Volkanovski in the UFC. And it seemed like he was, I guess, compelled by that Murphy performance and mentioned that a December title fight against Lerone Murphy would make sense in his estimation. Do you foresee that being the next UFC featherweight title fight, or any thoughts on that, I suppose?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like the UFC is too interested in Mosvar going for it yet. So I'd imagine that's probably the next one, especially with that big win for Murphy. But I just don't see anybody at 45 right now beating Volk skill for skill in a 5 round fight outside of his age. You know, unless you know overnight he ages like crazy or he gets caught with something silly. I don't see him, like I said, skill for skill throughout a 25-minute fight. Either any of these guys getting the better of him.
And to the point about you being so studious, but now pivoting your focus to lightweight fighters more so, it seems like a lot of people are, I guess, foreseeing the Ilya Topuria versus Arman Sarukian fight being set up next. If that fight were to be set up, like just, I guess, giving an overview of that fight, like what are your thoughts on that particular lightweight matchup?
Yeah, that's the fight I want to watch too. I think everybody wants to see, everyone wants to see Ilya tested pretty good. And I feel like Sarukian, I don't think he would win, but I definitely think he would bring out the best in Ilya, and we would see a lot. Just with athleticism and a true lightweight number one contender is obviously Arman. So everyone wants to see that and see how those styles match. And I still have Ilya. I think he's just got that kill shot, and for 25 minutes, you got to stay away from that. That's a long time. Um, and I know he's got the grappling and wrestling pedigree to defend off a lot of the 55 grapplers, because that division is full of really good grapplers. So yeah, I think he'll get that done. But it's definitely be a competitive fight, and I think that's what kind of intriguing for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. And then kind of within that, I guess, prior context I was mentioning of some of the elite guys you fought over the course of your career, that Patricio Pitbull fight for the Bellator belt definitely stands out. And I feel like his upcoming fight with Lerone Keita at the September 6th UFC Fight Night is a fairly intriguing fight too for people who kind of study the broader landscape, which you obviously fit within. So yeah, that Keita versus Pitbull fight, definitely a very intriguing one, it would seem like.
Yeah, I would say I think I mean every time Pitbull now since my fight, I'm like, oh, he's getting to that point, and he's still getting it done, obviously against Dan, the last one. But I just think youth is slowly starting to catch up, and Keita, I think, will just be too much for him, too powerful for him. And I mean, Pitbull hasn't really hit his stride in the UFC, and at his age and his stage of his career, I don't really see him rejuvenating himself too much. I think we're going to see the same kind of Pitbull we've been seeing, and I just don't know if that's enough to get the job done.
Just such an interesting landscape and time in the sport, and super excited to catch you ahead of this Battlefield Fight League return. I feel like it's been, I guess, probably close to a decade since the last time you fought in BFL, so very intriguing stuff, but a fresh coat of paint at lightweight now and stuff like that. But yeah, just really always appreciate the time and everything coming on the MMA Canada platform today, Jeremy. But I do want to be mindful of your time and schedule as well, man. I know you got other commitments. You're a busy lad. You got a lot on the go. So is there perhaps like a final parting thought you might want to add as we're kind of wrapping things up here, man?
No, I appreciate it, man. And, I always appreciate getting on and talking to you. And obviously, Canadian MMA is booming right now, and I'm excited to add new fresh blood into the 155 division, um, worldwide, but representing Canada. So yeah, just make sure you tune in next Thursday and the start of a 155 Jeremy, and it's gonna be exciting, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, the first fight in Vancouver since you beat Alex Ricci in
Yeah,
2018 at the UFC on Fox 21 card. So cool in that kind of sense too.
and that was at 155 as well. So I'm excited to defend the 155 crown for myself here.
Yeah, no doubt, man. But yeah, I mean, mutual sentiment in terms of like getting to talk ahead of these fights. I always appreciate you coming on. And yeah, you enjoy the rest of your day, man. I'll certainly be checking out this fight when it goes down. But thanks again for coming on the MMA Canada platform today. And yeah, all the best, man. Thank you.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.